If you're moving here, well, these things are kind of critical, so let's not make the same mistakes others are making. I cannot emphasize this enough, and I really feel like this is one of the #1 mistakes buyers make when moving here is not picking a reputable, good builder. I've seen it so many times, so they go seek a builder in a nice neighborhood, and on the surface the builder looks like it's really reputable, the model home is nice, the neighborhood looks nice, the area looks nice. They have really aggressive incentives, so they sign a contract, and then 2 to 3 years later they regret their decisions. They hate the home, they hate the builder, and they have a really hard time reselling it. Houston is the largest market in the country for new construction homes. We have more new construction home builders, more new home neighborhoods than any other city in the country, and we are very low regulated when it comes to new construction homes. So as a consumer, you have to do your due diligence, you have to research the builders, and you really have to know beyond the builder what's going on in that neighborhood and how is it going to affect your home value and resell in 5 to 7 years from now. I highly recommend you use a buyer's agent when you're building new construction here in Houston, because they're really going to help you figure out which builders are good, which ones to stay away from. They're going to help you go through the pros and cons of the areas and the neighborhoods that you're considering. It really is an invaluable resource for you to make a good investment when buying new construction home. A big mistake when moving here is not doing adequate neighborhood research. Just like I do a lot of videos about builder tiers and qualities, it goes the same for developers and neighborhoods here. They're not all treated the same, and they are not all going to age the same. So even though it might be a good discount deal today, that discount and deal might not look so good 5 years from now when you're trying to resell that property. We truly do have a vast city with a ton of neighborhood options, and it can get really overwhelming for a buyer to know even where to begin when you're looking for the best neighborhood to invest in here. So it's really, really important that you understand not only how our neighborhoods are put together and the developers work here, but also the appreciation rates, the proximity, location, amenities, school districts. All of these things are really, really important when it comes to choosing a neighborhood here, and it really does play a big role on your opportunity for resale as well as appreciation. So when you're researching neighborhoods, it's so important to do your due diligence or use a buyer's agent that is very well versed in communities. Environmental concerns is another thing. People don't really take that seriously until they move here. We do have soil issues and foundation issues, but more than that, and the one that is recognized a little bit more, is our flooding issues. Houston is a great city. I love it. We have a strong economy. We are a very family-friendly area to live. It is overall a really good place to live. But something that really sucks about Houston is the infrastructure when it comes to the power grid and when it comes to the infrastructure of the city and its flooding risk. There is no way to be exempt from flooding risk here in Houston. The whole city is susceptible to flooding. There are areas that flood less and then where your risk is less, but overall, if you're moving here, you have to be prepared for the reality that there is some sort of flood risk when there's a major storm. It tends to be the closer to the coast or east that you are, the more the houses are prone to flooding, but even this inner city of Houston floods after every storm. A lot of the suburbs like the west and the north don't get flooding as often, but that's not to say that they cannot get flooding. And so when you are moving here, it is really important to check floodplain maps and to check if a house has previously flooded. It's just a reality of living in our city. Now, the time that I am recording this, it is midsummer time, and we just had Hurricane Beryl pass through last week, so it is only natural that I start with the weather here in Houston. It's not so much the weather I want to warn you about, it's more the aftermath that the weather leaves people in here, especially in recent years, that I really want to warn you about. Like it or not, there should be some sort of expectation when you move here that at one point or another you will experience a major storm that could leave you with an extended power outage. The thing that I don't personally like about this is that it is happening more frequently, and there's a whole slew of issues around this, but that is an entire other video. The point of this video is that you need to have the expectation and not make the mistake that when you come here, you will experience power outages. It is not always possible for people to budget, but it is definitely something that a lot of people consider when moving here, is to budget and plan for the fact that they're probably going to need a generator, especially during these major storms where there are extended power outages. Another mistake is when people are researching moving here, they assume that everywhere in Houston is relatively affordable, and while we are, compared to other major cities, relatively affordable, we have so many areas within Houston that are some of the most expensive areas to live within the country, and even in our suburbs, especially when there's really nice school districts or highly regarded master plan communities. We also have very, very high property tax, and it can differ from one neighborhood to the other. So a lot of people make the mistake of just assuming it's all affordable, it's all the same property tax. You really have to go neighborhood by neighborhood or city by city and figure out the cost of living for that particular area, because it can be so much different than another area. If you found this video helpful, I have an entire playlist on things you need to know when moving to Houston, so make sure you check that out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.